Yo, hey guys, Ken Perryman here, and I am back again with another really cool product. If you haven't followed me or see what I've been doing, I am pointing to and looking at my beautiful new 2024 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Beautiful vehicle. I've always wanted one for all my life. What does that have to do with this, Ken? Well, I'm getting back into the camping stuff. I used to be in the military, used to camp, used to be in the Boy Scouts, used to do all kinds of stuff. And I'm getting tired of used to. I want to say I do. So I want to get back into camping. Now, this company here, I just want to let you guys know that this is sponsored because the company has sent this product to me just so I can show you guys all about it. That's it. They've sent this to me. And I've worked with them before. Let me show you something. So I have previously done their refrigerator. Now, this is the 21-liter refrigerator. Just did this, took it out on a trip, a really short trip, out to city center to hopefully keep things cold. Used a power generator. It's actually the guy down here underneath the box to keep it running, and it ran, I mean, the box, it's a very big power generator, and it said it would run for days and days with the amount of energy that it consumed, 45 watts. Now, this is a whole nother animal. What is it? We'll get to that here in a second. This is for the intent, air conditioning for your tent. Yes, I meant to do that. But you will need a big power bank like what I have down here. I hope this will reach. It should. Cool. All right, so I'm sitting at 83% charge on this guy. Let's turn on my AC. There we go. My AC has now turned on for this. I wanna show you this. This is the box that it comes. Well, I just turned on the whole unit. So this is ready to go. Whoa, that bothered me for a second. This is the box that it comes in, and everything that's in there is this pretty hefty. It's got some weight to it. Air conditioning unit. Well, that's because it's got a compressor in it, like the refrigerator that I showed you before. But what they also have inside the box at the top of it are these two items right here. And what this is you clamp this onto the exhaust ports back here, and you'll put this inside and lock it in. Then you'll take this, right? Cool. And you'll expand this to however far you need it to. It'll go as far as, well, you can only go so far. And then you'll plug this in. There it is. You have a multitude of modes. We'll walk through the camera. Hopefully we're showing you here real quick. But basically, first off, you will have, and I haven't even peeled this off yet. Nice. Is you'll have fan speed, timer, plus and minus, and your power. So we're gonna hit the power button, and it's set for this cool. And that's just basically your fan mode, right? A lot of people think that, oh, that's the air conditioning mode. No, this has the capability of removing moisture from the air. It's air conditioning, right? Basically. That's why they call it air conditioning. But right now at this point, you have air blowing from here, and you have air blowing from the front set of the vents. And once that kicks in, you'll feel, trying to find something for you guys to see, you know, just a little piece of paper, just to show you guys kind of what's going on out here. So it's blowing out from both ends. This is basically about as high as it'll go speed-wise, I believe. No, that's temperature. Yeah, and this guy really books on this side. This is also kind of doing the same thing. It's blowing the air out through the backside. Larger amount of air movement will be moved from here. I like that I got it set to 68, but that's not the coolest feature. And it should shut down. I just powered it down. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and power it back up. So again, like we said, we have the cool air temperature. Let me see if I can continue to bring it down to 63 degrees. The nice thing about it, let me see, what do we pull in here? Pulling about 30 watts. That's not too bad. I'm impressed with that, about 30 watts. Now, the next mode over, the compressor will kick in. I felt it just kick in. Now we're gonna set it to 77. That's getting really cold, guys. And let me show you this. It's still booking pretty well. This is blowing out some really cold air, but here's the trade-off. Let me check. We are now pulling 357 watts because we just kicked in the compressor. But over here, it's warm air. The vent, we gotta do one thing. Totally forgot about that. There is this little plug. I'll show you a picture of it, but this plug needs to be unplugged when you're running the air conditioning or the moisture removal mode, because that is where the condensation will come, drip down into this tray and into this spot here and pour out the backside. So we're gonna let this run here for a few minutes because I really love cold air, especially when it's hot out. Guys, I live in Georgia. This is gonna be awesome in a tent. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any camping that's come up as of yet, and I don't know where I'm going to simulate this inside of a tent until I get the opportunity to do so. But I will tell you this, once I do go camping, I will show this also again in the tent and blowing, and check that out. You can move the position of the air. right? Because we know that hot air rises. Maybe you want to take this, blow it up, and then have it sink down and kind of fill up the tent area. I will tell you this, that this is, while this works pretty hard, if you pack your tent outside in the direct sunlight, and I will tell you this too, I'm originally from Arizona, so I understand both sides of the world of the high humidity, pretty hot, pretty darn hot, to the really hot, low humidity areas. If you put a tent out in direct sunlight, if you're not trying to do some good camping, I say good camping, and find yourself some shade, because there's no way you're going to put this in a large size tent. I have a really good size tent. It's an 8-person tent. It's a true 8-person tent, and it is huge. And to fill that volume full of cold air, it is going to have a very difficult time maintaining that temperature in there, because just of the very fact that you have large volume and you have a direct sunlight that's heating up the outside, thusly the inside of your tent. So all that to say, find some shade. If you're camping and you're camping for fun, obviously you're gonna have this. You're gonna take this, put your tent under some trees and whatnot, put this in, cool down. I wanna say that this main intent of this product is going to be not to cool down your tent throughout the day and kill your really big battery, right? Your intent is to put this in the evening, early evening hours, when you're going to bed, so that you can cool down the tent so it's at a good temperature, because we all know, whether you're in Georgia or wherever you are, and especially in the Midwest to South where it's very high humidity, you want this guy in there, not so much for the cold air, but for the removal of moisture so it's not so sticky. Guys, if you've been around humidity, come on, almost everybody has, you know, stickiness is not very fun when you're sleeping. You want that nice, dry feeling. Cool thing is, you bring a fan with you. You blow the fan to kind of blow the air over you while you're not humid. This thing's doing its job. You're loving it. Now, I will tell you this. This is a 2,500 watt battery. Let me see where we're at. We're probably still punching around 380 at 60 hertz. Okay, I'm at 80%. Actually, I'm at 79%. I just dropped off. If I were to run this for hours on end, I could only run this, even with this one, for about 3 hours. The great thing about this is plug it in when you need it, where you need it, run it for what you need it to do to cool down, and then let it get to that temperature. And this thing's never gonna cool down because I'm in a garage door with the garage door wide open to the air. So all I have basically is just some cold air that's coming in here, and in through here, which I love, you could see it's sucking the air in. This is like a vacuum down here, just, and I don't want to block off that air. Then you have over here, pretty much doing the same thing. It's just sucking all the air in, processing it through, putting the hot air out through this end, and the cold air through this end. Switch the mode back over to a night mode, set it to 75 degrees. And I will tell you this, the cool thing is then this switches over from hot air and it'll start to cool down a little bit. Yeah, I'm already feeling it cool down a little bit. And the nice thing about this is you could do all kinds of stuff with this. You can put a 90 in it, right? Check it out. You can put a 90 in it, point it out some direction, and there you go. So now that I've got that set down to that degree, I am now 60, running for about a day. It's not telling me my full output. So it looks like it's just running the fan. Oh, because it's in night mode. Very nice. Okay. Now that's some really fast fan speed. Now, yeah, it's running at 43, 46. So it's running right around 45 watts. This thing is gonna last about 19 hours in this mode, but I've got it set to 61 degrees and I've got it on rocket cool. Now this is just cooling and it's not using the full compressor to drop all that temperature. And let me see, this is also cool. This is cool. That's colder on the other end, but this is cool. I love these filters in here. And of course you could pop these out and clean them off, clean the debris off. This I'm impressed with. So I told it to go down to, it automatically goes down with the rocket cool to like 61 degrees. Now it's not gonna happen because I'm in a room with a giant door open, letting in all my moisture. But I'm just letting this run to let you guys see. Then we're gonna move over here. Then here's your speed setting, F2, F3. So this is just full fan. This is just fan, right? I got a fan blowing from this side. Now I'm down to basically 0 watts. It's not fully 0. Oh, and there's nothing blowing from this side, actually. Nothing at all, right? So it says 0 watts. It's probably running a couple watts just to use the fan. So all we're doing is blowing the fan. Mode, go back to 61 degrees here. I can set the temperature. Let's see what happens when I get to our actual temperature. Let's see what's going on over here. What are we running at? 31 watts. So we're not running the compressor. I'm blowing air out of this side now, as you can see. Yep, I'm blowing air out of here and I'm setting this. This is booking pretty good. Let's say at 86, 31 watts. Oh, wow. Okay, it does kick in. You got to get it low enough. Yeah, it's back down to 30. Interesting. 61. It's probably fairly close to that temperature in here right now. So it's 60 something outside right now. You turn that into that little star mode, you set the temperature, boom, there you go. Now, if you want to just go ahead and just completely remove the moisture, switch it over to this mode. It slows the speed down, kicks on the compressor, and it's not going to yet. I know I made a mistake. I know what I did. Okay, so when you kick on and kick right off the compressor, which I did with the temperature adjustment, it's got a safety system running right now. So it's gonna hold, and then basically if you want to do this in an emergency, just shut it off and turn it back on. But honestly, what you can do is just let it sit, let it do its thing for a minute, and it should kick on its own. And we'll see that here because the table will shake a little bit when the compressor kicks in. And that was my fault. I never should have done that, playing around with the compressor, turning it on and off. So just always remember, if you have any mode that you want to use the compressor, make sure that you're pulling out this plug. And I'll do kind of a quick walk around. All right, so I went ahead and shut it off because I know that it's probably going to reset itself here in a minute. All right, so quickly covering everything that's going on over here. So first and foremost, you have your entire front control panel over here, starting off with basically your air conditioning unit with a settable temperature. You have your no moisture mode, basically moisture removing mode. That's where you're doing a full scrubbing of getting all the moisture out. That's more important that for both of those first two modes. And basically, anytime you turn this thing on, you take out this plug over here on the back and let the water drain from the system, because it will build up condensation. As it removes moisture, it gets on the coils and it drips down into a pan and then hopefully moves itself out through a small hole in the back. And actually, I see a droplet of water coming out now. Let me take a picture of that real quick, guys. Yeah, you can just see a little bubble of water ready to pop out at any moment's notice, because that's where the condensation has happened. Let's go through all of this real quick. Like I said, large panel. They come with a lot of stickers on it. We'll go through those in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and I gave it a minute or so to power down, so I'm gonna power it up. The compressor just kicked on. Perfect, it did what it's supposed to. It's kind of a reset mode. So we went from the air conditioning mode to the moisture removing mode. Slows down a little bit of the speed and you get cold air coming, ice cold it coming out of here, and your hot air coming out of here. So yes, so make sure that your back end tube, and that's why you have this tube, is pointed outside your tent. Because the worst thing you're gonna do is get really cold air here and really hot humid air from there blowing inside your tent. So make sure you keep this thing with you. Cool? All right. Two inlets over here to suck in all the air in here and run through. So it's pulling the tent inside your tent and moving the moisture air outside your tent, and then blowing back in the cold air and moisture-free stuff inside your tent. So I said you have this little snowflake, that's your air conditioning. The moisture with the slash through it means it's removing the moisture. It's more aggressive, it's pulling more of that moisture out. And also, like I said, it's probably running at about 300 and something, 387 watts. So this, according to this device, this could run for 3 or 4 hours, probably more like 4 right now in this case, depending on how long that compressor runs, pulling all that moisture out. And I think a dropped? No, not yet. Cool. So continuing on, there's the moon. That's your basically, once you've gotten your tent cooled down and you got the temperature dropped to where you need it, you then put it in the moon mode or the night mode. And what it'll do is it'll bring down the speed and the noise, because obviously spinning fans and compressors and all that stuff make noise. Click it over to the night mode, quiets down real quick and makes it a little bit more tolerable while you're sleeping, right? Makes sense. Hey, before you hit turn on the AC, walk out, go enjoy the campfire, whatever you're doing, have this thing book it inside your tent, and then once you get to bed, switch it over to night mode, drops down the noise and all that stuff, but still maintains a nice cool temperature, because you know your tent's not sealed and weatherproof like your house, more so. So you're still gonna have that issue. And we all know, right? Air conditioning doesn't just turn on once in a day and then just stays that way for days on end. It's constantly, depending on the outside atmosphere, it's gonna constantly be recycling and starting back up. So then you have the rocket mode, which is exactly what it sounds like. Turns on, blows as hard as it can, gets everything as cold as quickly as possible. And then of course you have your fan mode. So maybe you're just in a point maybe like right now, where you just want to blow some air. You're not looking to bring it down to, sub-Arctic temperatures and stuff like that. You just need some air movement, a little bit of coolness, but a little bit of air, you know what I mean. Then on the lower section down here, we got the fan speed. Again, these will also all light up based on what mode you're in. So as an example, this moisture removing mode, fan speed is not an option. You do have a timer mode. You can set the timer to run for a certain amount of time and have it turn off. You do have your plus and minus. In those, you can change the temperature. In this mode, you cannot change the temperature. Then you also have your mode button, which you press that button, it cycles through all these purple guys up top, which again is, like I said, all of these modes. And then of course you finally have your power button, which you can shut off completely. Going around this device, there is a warning. So when turning on for the first time, 4 hours of idle time before you turn on. The reason why they say this is just like you heard the thing, if you didn't know, maybe you should know, but like the BougeRV refrigerator, my mini refrigerator that's over here, to your full-on refrigerators. When they're shipped to your house, most of them are in a box, moving, twisting, and all kinds of stuff. Could be upside down, whatever. So the safety warning that they would like you to adhere to for the most part. Anyway, the point is because there's a potential of the fluid inside, because it runs off of a process of turning fluid from a moisture fluid to steam, because it has a very low boiling point, and then when it transfers back to releasing heat or cold, it changes back into a state of liquid and goes back down. So the problem is up in the upper chamber should only be steam. If you got it flipped upside down, moisture gets up in there, liquid fluid gets up in there, and could be really detrimental to your system. So it's best to, when you first get this, which I did, set it in its normal position, just leave it be for about 4 hours. Make sure that everything has trickled down and settled back to the bottom where it's supposed to. More technical than you need. Main point is, let it sit for 4 hours. 4 hours is a very cautious period of time, but it's enough to make sure that you don't prematurely damage this device. All right, the compressor is an automatic protection mechanism. Yeah. So it did what I just showed you before. Click, click, I switched too quickly between turning it on and turning it off. It will just turn off and go, yo, you're playing around too much, guy. Chill. I'm gonna be off for a minute. I'm gonna sit over here and just hang out. And then either you can shut it off or you can just let it run for a while, and hopefully after a minute or so, or a couple of minutes, it will reset itself and go, okay, I can start back up again. If there's an immediate restart needed, it tells you how to do that. And then at low ambient temperature, the temperature must be set to the minimum to allow the compressor to start normally. So this is a low temperature environment right now because we're in the morning in Georgia, and it's a bit cool. So you set it down, you gotta get to your lowest temperature. But again, I'm in the moisture removing mode. That automatically turns it on, sets it to 77 degrees, and that's it. There's nothing you can do about that temperature. Normal phenomenon. There's a compressor in there, and inside the compressor is a mechanism that will bounce around. So if you're walking around, you hear clink, 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 clang. It's kind of like a tinny clang noise. You'll hear it on you'll hear it on that refrigerator. You'll hear it on that refrigerator, mini refrigerator, the one I'm pointing to that comes from BougeRV. All of them have that little thing that clangs in there, and as long as you're not trying to, I don't know, bounce it on the floor like a basketball and chuck it across the parking lot. But if you're moving it and you kind of are walking and it goes tang, 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 tang kind of thing, yeah, I'm not doing that again. It's normal. Don't worry about it. You didn't break anything. It's not like something's broke inside and it's popped out. Now, I'd say you probably didn't. Now, if you dropped it on the floor from here and went bang, and then picked it up and went tang, 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 yeah, you might have broke something. But I'm just saying is normally if you treat it with respect, do your thing, and it does tang, 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 you're just like, oh my God, do I have to treat this like it's a piece of glass? Kind of, but no. Don't worry about it. Moving on. With this normal phenomenon, switch to refrigeration mode, no cold air blowing out. Please don't worry. The interval between restarting the compressor is 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. So you just need to wait about 3 to 5 minutes. Don't switch modes frequently or too quickly, or it'll go back into the safety mode, which I did. Now, cool. BougeRV guys are pretty darn good about giving you everything you need to know. Ooh, I can feel that heat. There's a small little gap here. Ooh, this is actually almost hot. It feels like clothes from the dryer, that kind of hot. It's warm, it's very warm. It is working. And unfortunately, I'm making it work so hard when it's not gonna do anything to this room here. Because like I said, a giant garage door. Screen doors on a submarine, guys, right? Yes, I said that. There is, oh yeah, they walk through and it's basically, I was like, wait, it looks like it's German. No, I'm kidding. So install the fan cover on the duct of the cold air outlet. Install the fan cover and the air duct at the cold air outlet. You know, that makes sense. I thought this was to pipe the hot air out. So does this sit outside your tent? And then you blow cold air out? Guys, I just went over to grab a little bit of coffee and it's really cold. Wow, it's really cold over here. Woo! It's almost where my coffee is. It's almost iced coffee now, guys. Yep, there's a ton of water dripping out now. Looking good, it's doing what it's supposed to. I do like that you have, moving on, it also tells you about the drain plug. As I say, I love how you have this tube here where you can redirect your air. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and tell you guys here that you can put this inside and have this pump your hot air out, or as it's recommending here as well, is that you can take this off and put this, I gotta make sure I'm doing this right now. You can put this here on your inside. All right, so let's go ahead and do the 90 as we're talking about. Now, as expected, I'm sure that the volume air movement here is not bad, and yeah, extreme amount of hot air moving out the warm vent side. So again, to that point, they have, BougeRV has designated that this is how this should go, right? I did without instructions, just put it together, assuming that you would blow the hot air outside the tent and this would be inside your tent. Most likely, you would set this somewhere like on a table near your tent, maybe in a small platform right outside the door of your tent, and have it plugged into this, running the cold air, just blowing only the cold air into your tent through some opening. Some of the tents have a small opening you can put like electrical contacts or even maybe a cool air intake, air conditioning type thing. You could also use this where you set this up in your tents that go on top of your Jeep and stuff like that, put this on a platform right next to it, and then have this pump right in, kind of like you would do with if you had the heaters. So love how this is set up. And then lastly, again, talking about, well, not lastly, second to last, replacing the air filter or the filter. So you're going to use a tool, a flat blade screwdriver of some sort, and you're going to come down in here and you're going to pop these grill pieces out. Then inside there are the filters that you're going to remove the filter on the back of the panel, clean the filter, and then install the clean filter back in the panel. They're very fine mesh in here, and you can hear them kind of ticking as they're being pulled in. Not very loud, but just ticking, pulling in, doing their thing. And with that doing their thing, they will eventually pick up dirt and debris in the atmosphere. They will get clogged, dirty. It'll make it work harder. Prevent that, pull them out, clean them out, put them back in. So I am kind of nice. I mean, there's no kind of about it. This, I can tell just sitting in this cool, warm, it's humid out, guys. I'm not even telling you. But having this blow on me, it's like, it's almost too cold. It's almost too cold. Wow. I keep talking in between each section, that's fine. Lastly, there is a fault code display on the panel in the back. And it will tell you basically E1, E2, E3, E4, E6, and E7. What do those codes mean? Amazon service. Oh, service through BougeRV. Shaking. I need to get this. Whoa, stop. From wanting to blow off. It's wanting to blow off. It's got some good pressure to it. Yeah, and then even more so, there's a pretty steady puddle going on down here. So let's go ahead and not work this thing to death. We're gonna go ahead and move it over to night mode. And the compressor just kicked off. I'm gonna put it on air conditioning mode. This is still blowing cold air back because it's still blowing over that coil. So I'm gonna set it at 72. Most people, 75, right? Let's just leave it at 75. Let this thing do its thing. And I like how you gotta be careful, obviously, but you can just set that and let it do its thing, running it in and out of your tent. All right, so with all that, I'm going to go ahead and pull this guy off just because, wow. Ooh. And there you go. Look how compact that is. You're done. So this is coolish air. This is slightly warmer air. Yeah, this side's a little bit cooler because it's still blowing off of those really cold coils. So eventually these will equalize and probably maintain the same temperature. And then depending on where you are, where the temperature drops down to, that thing will kick in. And once it kicks in, keep in mind, once it kicks in, cold out this side, hot out this side. So make sure you don't have this thing sitting inside your tent when it kicks on, because it's just gonna stay on. You're gonna be blowing hot air and cold air, and you're not gonna feel anything different. I spent a lot of time talking a lot about this because I am super excited about this guy right here and about using it here in the near future, camping, because we're in Georgia. It is April, it is the end of April. When we get into May, June, July, August, September, yeah, that thing's gonna come in handy. I'm gonna really enjoy that. So let me check. Once again, I am at 0 watts. It says this thing can run for a day, about a day, because it's not really pulling 0 watts, but it's pulling low enough that it's not registering on here. But this thing says that it can run this fan for about a day. And where am I at? I'm at 74%. I let that thing run for a while. Once again, I mean, thank you, BougeRV guys. I love the fridge. I love the air conditioning unit. I'm happy to go and take it out and use it with the solar panels, talk about, you know, camping and all that kind of stuff with all of these together. This is super cool. I can't wait really to get out there and do that. That's exactly what I want to do, is get out there and go camping and do all those fun things. So guys, I hope this was helpful for you. I do appreciate your time, and I'm out.